Welcome to another edition of Rock and Recovery. I'm your host, Jay, a special guest, Dr. Larry Smith. Hello, Dr. Larry.
Hey, hi Jay, how's it going?
I am doing well after some technical issues earlier. I'm doing fantastic.
Right on. And so am I.
So now that's good. I know you just walked your dog. You couldn't, so that's always a good thing.
Well, more like she walked me. We actually did a little run walk.
Okay, nice.
I
So
tried to
I'll
keep
just let you jump right in and start telling your story.
Okay, I'll just start from where I am right now. My name is Larry Smith, and live in Parksville in Vancouver Island. I was a chiropractor for 36 years, and I've been in recovery for 26 years. September 22nd, 1999 is the date I stopped all ingesting all mood altering drugs and alcohol. And it's been quite an adventure. The adventure started when I was 11 years old, and I saw a bottle of unguarded white rum. And I said to myself, I wonder what it would like to get drunk. And I saw adults using it, and I heard about being drunk. So I swug, I guzzled down four big mouthfuls of white rum, and it did ever taste terrible. It was so awful. So I guzzled it followed it with Coke, and then I say, "Oh, this feels horrible. My stomach's burning." But then something magical happened. I went from 0 to 100,000 feet. This was the best feeling of my life ever. Oh my gosh. I just felt so good. I was on top of the world that I had to tell everybody. I was going to go tell my friends how wonderful it felt. And that was the beginning of my journey. And unfortunately, it went on for 30 years because I kept on negotiating with an entity who I call Johnny. It's in my book called Johnny and Me. He's the voice that saying it's okay, you just have one or two and you'll be fine. But as you know, it's never one or two, or maybe you try this or you try that. But I literally could not stop, even though I got so sick. I did very embarrassing things. I'd be throwing up all the time, but I was basically a weekend alcoholic in my teen years. The whole game was to hide it from the parents and hide it from the adults. And it took a long time to overcome it because I couldn't get it through my idea that I can't have one drink, one pill, one anything. And I can elaborate more on those, but there's just a thumbnail sketch of where I come from. And I say I don't regret any of it. I wouldn't want to do it again, but I don't regret it because it now helps me help others who are experiencing the same type of difficulty. There is hope. That's the one message you're going to ask here. No matter what, no matter how many times you have tried and failed. I tried and failed a lot of times too, but finally I got it.
I like to say hope stands for hold on, the pain ends, and that's one of the main reasons I do this podcast is to let other people know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, that there is hope. The pain does end if you choose it to.
Absolutely.
So a little bit, what was one of the main turning points in your life to make you want to quit?
Ooh, I had thought about quitting for a long time. In fact, I'd gone through all the stages of I'm gonna quit, which would last for 3 or 4 weeks until I couldn't take it anymore, and it just the pain kept on escalating. I'm saying I really got to do something for it. But the two times that uh, uh, basically the two times where I was serious about it, I had two people drag me in to treatment. One was a woman and the other was a man. And even as they're dragging me in, I said, "Do you really think I'm that bad? I didn't think it was that bad. If I could somehow regulate it." And second time, same thing. I really didn't think I was that bad until I was told by peers that really I was. And I got so sick. And I guess if you're asking for a real turning point, it would be when I was withdrawing. And they wouldn't even let me in the treatment center go to any group activities because I was so sick. And they're trying to withdraw me. This is back in '99, and we didn't have all the medications they do now. And I was suffering mightily. I just wanted to die. So they sent a young kid in. Uh, I'll call him Jonathan, and he was the miracle in my recovery, because it wasn't what he said to me, but he just gave me the look on the face as, you can do this. This, I could do it. I was just as bad as you. You can, or are you with me? And I just hung on to that thread. I says, you know what? I can't imagine, but you know what? I'm going to try for today. Is that okay? And he says, yeah, that man, that's all you have to do. And then tomorrow we'll talk. So whoever the counselors were who sent that young man in, someone was looking after me. He helped me so much, and to this day, that was the turning point. And it wasn't all roses after that by any means. It was a heck of a lot of work and heartache and responsibility and accountability to take responsible. I'm taking responsibility for the actions that I had done. But that one moment in the treatment center was basically where the journey started for me to finally stop.
So why'd you give alcohol a voice, and how impactful was that?
I was thinking about it all along. I was in my practice, and I was during COVID, and I said, you know what? I need to get a hobby that will help me through this, because people are just freaking out, and they're looking to me as for leadership. And so I took a course in stress relief through writing through a man called Jack Elhigh, and he offered me some courses where I would write something, he would correct it, he'd give me readings, and then he said, okay, so what would you like to really write about? And I says, well, I want to write about recovery. And he says, well, how can you do that uniquely? And I thought about it, and I had a celebration coming up with my support group. You know what? I'm going to who is one of my favorite drinks. So I just named it Johnny X whiskey. So I'm going to call you Johnny, and we're going to have a little conversation. So I said to my support group, here's what Johnny said during my whole journey. He says, Larry, you're okay. It's you can handle me. It's all of this stuff is basically, it's not a problem. You're boring now. You really need to get back to me, because I gave you confidence. I made you who you were. You have to get back to this. So I'd hear this voice the whole time. And that was basically since I was 11 years old. When I thought about it, I would actually look at the bottle, and it would talk to me. Just one. You'll be okay. And even when I was sick, it says, well, wait till you're a little better. It always, as long as you put a little of the substance in you, you'll feel okay. So that voice basically taunted me for years and years. And I found during recovery that I had to have strategies every day, because I would hear it, or I'd come into situations where literally I was hearing, it won't count if you just have two, or it won't count if you take a pill. And I knew this was wrong, because once I had anything in there that resembled alcohol, be it benzos or codeine or oxycodone, I would be doomed. So I came up with that piece for my support group, and I told them, here's what Johnny's saying, now here's what Larry is saying. And Larry basically, finally, I knew I had conquered him, and I got a chapter in my book when I was in the Ironman, and it's just like your whole life boils down to everything great and everything bad all in like 14 hours. It took me to do it. And I didn't think about Johnny until close to the finish line, and I saw the image. And the image, I'm going, you know what? I don't even have time for you. Just like, go away. You're nothing. And that's when I knew that I had conquered Johnny. So, and it's quite exciting. When you're in an Ironman, you get all these emotions going in there, and I was able to fluff it away like that. And that's, I knew when I had it. So as long as I keep him away from me, I don't ingest him, I'm okay. But I do have respect. It's like firemen have respect for fires. You have to know it's going to burn you. If you let it in or let it come close, you will get burnt. So I am quietly confident that today I can stay away from Johnny, and I'm quietly confident that maybe tomorrow I might be able to do the same thing. That's why I'm here talking to you, Jay, and I thank you for the opportunity, to connect, because I love Noonan. I got my home group, support group tomorrow night, which I really enjoy. I've been going basically since the late 90s, and they supported me when I basically came in the rooms and I couldn't even stand up. I didn't sit in a chair. I just sat on the floor all by myself. They
Wow.
loved me until I could love myself. Now it's time for leadership for me. When I see the people coming in, whether they have 1 day or 1 year, man, do it. You're in the right place. So I'm not making up anything. It's stuff that's been told to me, and I'm passing it on.
So, what was one of the hardest parts of your recovery journey? Doing the steps. What was one of the hardest things that you had to realize about yourself?
I can't change the past. I can't change the past, but I have to be accountable for the past. And this is where I got support in the treatment center, because I had to go back to first. I got to go back to work, and there's my receptionist, there's my patients, and it was humiliating. Some knew, some didn't know, but are you going to be okay? And I'd like to say, for the most part, people supported me, and of course, those who didn't, that's perfectly fine. I get it, but I had to sit down and talk to my receptionist, office manager, and she was very firm with me, but I told her I would be doing everything in my power. And then I had to go to my bank because I was in a mess financially. Um, but the one thing that he always liked about me, he says, you know what, I've seen you come walking in here sick, but you've never missed a payment. You've always paid me back. So I'm just worried about you personally. And I thought, oh my God, he cares about me. He says, whatever happens, I know you're trying hard. Just do what you need to. Then I had to see the accountant. And then I had other situations that came up. I was abused when I was 11 years old by a priest, and I decided to take action on it, and I reported it to the police in Manitoba. So we had civil and criminal proceedings going on during the first year recovery. So I had to face all that and go through a lot of things there. So it's hardest thing is facing what I'd done or what had happened to me, and realize this is life. Yeah, and the more you face it, the better off you'll be. If you keep on hiding from your feelings and from what's bothering you, it's going to come back and knock you down. And I still have trouble with it these days to take things head on. I sometimes turn my head away as I don't want to do this, but I know deep down in a second, come on, I have to do this. So that was, I would say, yeah, accepting what I'd done in the past, and then making amends for it, doing the best, and realize not everybody's going to be supportive on the journey. But you know what? There's so many people who are supportive that it's. I'm grateful. God bless you.
Thank you.
I'm grateful that I have the support I do, and I have a wonderful partner. Her name is Lori. She's been with me 25 and a half years. She's got another story herself. She lost her husband through suicide, and I was just getting out of treatment. And somehow we stumbled into each other at the office, and she was looking for help, and she knew I could help her, but she looked at me and said, "Who? He's wounded." But somehow we connected, and she to this day supports me wholeheartedly on my journey. And Lori she describes herself as my biggest fan and harshest critic, so I can't get away with anything.
So, how long were you actually stuck in addiction?
I started at 11, finished at 41, so that's 30 years.
So 30 years.
Yeah.
During that time, you started a chiropractic practice.
Yep.
How did it negatively affect that practice?
Oh, question I don't like answering. It's how would I say? It's picture a marathon runner, which I was. He's running the marathon. He's getting the job done, but it is like there's 10 pounds, 10, 15 pounds you're carrying on your back. People think you're doing okay, but you're not doing okay. So a lot of the time during my practice, I was such hard work and discipline, except for the alcoholism and the pills I was taking. It was so hard to be hiding all that and then putting on a face until finally it crumbled. I mean, some knew, it's obvious, but a lot didn't. I mean, still to this day, the more I'm revealing, some had never known it. They're just all supportive. So it affected it in a way. It would have been a lot easier to do the things I was doing. But it was just like I say, it just the weight on the back. It's that's all I can say about that.
What was one of the most healing parts of your journey? Being able to just let things go. What was one of the most healing?
I can breathe. You just asked me that. I'm thinking back. 1 year of recovery we're celebrating at the treatment center, and I got up there. I had a little bit of idea what I was going to be saying, but I says, you know what, this is really cool. This is a year, and I'm talking to you guys. I'm not afraid, and I can breathe. Like, this is just, I am so happy. It's just I feel so light. So it's just like a weight had been lifted. Of course, you get stressors coming back for the uh, to you the next day or two or three. But I know I can always go back to that feeling of I will comprehend the word serenity. I know it's there, it's accessible, and I have to do things every day to put me in a space where I can access it. In fact, if you like, I'll just tell you what I did for today to keep me
Absolutely.
going. If that if not rambling off. Well, I start each day with I write in my journal because I'm a writer. I'm an author. I write a page, and then I do A Course in Miracles with Marianne Williamson. I do that reading, and then I try to apply what's in that reading every day. And that basically then have to look after the dog and the cat. And then while I'm taking the dog for a walk, if she's not going to daycare, I'm activating my senses. What are the colors I see? So I'm looking at the green leaves, the red fire hydrant, the yellow leaves on the ground, the blue in the sign, the red in the car. Then what do I hear? I'm hearing the robins, I'm hearing the crows, the jiggling of my dog, I'm hearing my footsteps, I'm hearing my breathing. And then what do I smell? And that one, I can smell the smoke in the air. And then how's my inside body feeling? Oh, my right glutes is still bothering me. My left ankle is still sore. So I'm activating all my senses, all the senses. And then I start describing what I see in detail while I'm taking the dog around the block. And so it's just like a super description. And then the best part of it is, what am I grateful for? And I listed off 21 things. I only have to do 20, but I listed off 21 things that I was grateful for. And it gets easier each time. And then one of them, Jay, was I was going to meet a new friend, talking to you here, connecting with you on the podcast. So I'm going, man, I'm really looking forward to this because I like talking to people. You'll understand what I'm talking about. I have a lot of people that support what I do, but they haven't been there. They don't know what's going on. So those are some of the things I do. And then I know tomorrow night I've got a meeting I'm going to, so I really look forward to it. And then Lori and I were walking the dog together this afternoon. We're planning tomorrow, so just I do a lot of the things. Connecting is a big thing because I am an isolator, and if I don't get out there, in my head.
Absolutely.
If you know what I mean, it's a dangerous place to go. Don't go in there alone.
Yeah, definitely take a life rope and like 2 or 3 people.
Yeah. My mentor, who's no longer with us, she told me that one. It's a dangerous place. Don't go in there alone.
I think mine's scary to other people too. So they might need to take some rescue people as well. So the more people that I'm also an isolator, so I understand the whole but there's also good and bad isolation.
Yeah.
You've got to know the difference, and being sober for so long, do you still get triggers?
I get triggers, but I don't act on them. There's not really many times in the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years or longer where I thought I really need to use. What I lament about is I don't like the way I feel. I hate this. I don't like feeling anxious. I had something happen during my writing my book about anonymity, and I was very upset about what a friend said. And I just got really upset. So I said, you know what, I need to talk to a counselor about this. And that's where she got me into the activate your senses. Your brain's got to keep busy. Otherwise, you got to keep going over that. And, finally I faced it head on. I resolved it, but it's So yeah, it wasn't a triggers. I don't like how I'm feeling, but then the voices who have taught me saying, well, what are you going to do about it? Well, writing is one, talking about it is another, and being real, being authentic. So if I do that, as I say, I get through. It's like I say, it's like any other human being. Is I don't like being anxious. I don't like fear. I don't like being bullied. But you know what? I'm not going to sit back and take it. So I am going to respond, respond, not react.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. And, for me, I've never, once the need or the craving for the drug or alcohol went away, I haven't had a trigger uh, necessarily to use it, because the trigger was every day. Every day was a trigger for me, but once that craving, that addiction actually left, I know if I went back to it, I'd still go right back to where I was. I'd go back to the
Nana,
old
it's
me.
okay. Nana, it's okay. Somebody,
Uh,
sorry, Chief.
hey,
Someone came to the door and she's guarding.
hey, things that are out of our control. That's okay.
There she is.
That's a
You're a
great
good
dog.
girl. You're a good. Yes, you are. You're a good girl. Thank you for protecting Daddy.
Yes, you did a good job.
Yes, good girl. Sorry about
But
that.
yeah, once the craving and once it's gone away for me, I haven't had a trigger. Once I knew how to cope with the day, I haven't really necessarily had a trigger to use, which is awesome. But the one thing I did have is I had a using dream one time, and this was early on in recovery, and it almost, I woke up and I swore I was using. I was looking everywhere. I swore I just used, and I'm like, ain't no way. I went to sleep without any. There's none in my place. So how in the hell am I waking up thinking I'm high? I can't be,
I hear
you
you.
know. And that was one of the most scary things I've ever had.
Well, I've had those, and I won't say frequently, but about 2 or 3 times a year, I will get a using dream, and it's always the same. I'm using, I'm feeling high, and I'm loving it, and you know what? I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm going to go back,
Yeah.
because why am I losing all these years of being clean? And I'm just going to keep hiding it, and it's just I can't believe my brain is in there, but I figure I've been straight for 26 years, but I had 30 years of thinking and doing it all the time. And I still talk to my group about it, and people I know, they say, don't worry, it's just a dream. But like you were feeling there, like, how does this happen? So I think it's a message to us. It's there. Your disease, if you want to call it that, we call it something else if you like, but it is there outside doing push-ups. And if you allow it near you, you are doomed. And you've seen it, I've seen it. Once you take the first, whatever your drug of choice is, it's going to be very ugly very quickly.
It's the addiction of more, I think. It's like, just give me more.
You got it. You
You
got it.
know, and what was one of the biggest things, besides the actual use, that you had to change in your recovery?
Sharing feelings and asking for help. That was given to me as my 3 blocks. Isolates, does not share feelings, does not ask for help. In fact, I knew it was such a problem. I put myself on the hot seat in aftercare. They said do 14 months. I did 18 months, and I would literally, who wants to share, I would share, because I knew I had trained assassins around me who were going to call me on everything, because I wanted to be able to handle, when I went out in the real world, what it felt like to be challenged. So I said, no, I'm asking for help. And to this day, I can ask for help, but it still doesn't come naturally. Sharing feelings is one of the greatest things, because I found everybody who I connect with is just so wonderful. I learned that in treatment. They said, they gave me 5 feelings. Ask everybody. You share your feeling, they'll share theirs. Every one of them related to me. I connected with them. I do that on the outside with people. Tell them how I'm feeling, and almost to a T, everyone goes, "Oh man, I know exactly how you feel, man. Here's what happened to me." And I feel so connected on a heart-to-heart basis, and that is what keeps me sober. Is I know the heart-to-heart connection. And I'm about to go on a rampage here. It's
That's
not from
okay.
a frickin' a drug that takes away the goddamn craving. It may help for a while, but it's the bloody heart to heart connection that does it. And I'm listening to these so-called experts. They have zero lived experience. It pisses me off. And they are being touted as the expert. Here's what we need to. Yeah, you're saving lives, but the real recovery comes from people like you and I talking, or we're seeing people out there. Man, you don't have to live like this. Yeah, it's great to keep them alive, but that's what I'm advocating for here, and I just feel very, very strong about it. And what I'm trying to do is not get too emotional while I am here, but in my writing, I'm trying to keep it balanced. There is another way, and I think we need to start listening to people who have been there. There are tens of thousands of us out there who don't use anything, and if other people have to use, that's not my place to say what they should or shouldn't be doing. All I know is we should have a seat at the table. For abstinence-based recovery, we should be there deciding on policy and deciding what works. And that's actually what led up into my book that will be released in 2026. It's called The Neuroxone Conspiracy in 2084. Because what happens there, they take away the choice of abstinence-based recovery because they found the absolute cure. And you know where that goes with government and big pharma. And to me, I don't think it's that far away. And the people who I've shared with it, they're saying the same things. Yeah. So I'm saying we need to all work on this together. And I don't want to create, polarity, but also I think our voice needs to be heard. Those of us who are basing our recovery on a heart-to-heart connection and helping one another. So,
And I 100% agree, but I also agree with harm reduction as a pathway to abstinence-based recovery.
Yes, absolutely.
That's hands down, it saves lives, it works, yes. But it has to be as a treatment, and there's got to be a prescribed day that you're done.
Yes, I totally agree with you on that, and I make that point. I'm not against it. It just when I see it going on forever. Because as soon as they question, it's just you're not one of those deniers, are you? And I'm like you. Okay, so let's do it. Let's save them. You send out the lifesaver. They're on dry land. You need a bit of support. Okay, then when are we going to start doing the work? That's where I'm at.
I think a lot of the people that are doing the MAT or whatever else programs, they get comfortable doing it, and it just becomes a daily life for them, and they're not doing the actual work to heal themselves. That's not saying I could be totally wrong, but that's just in my experience. The people that I've ran across are like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing as well too, and I think we need to. It's not a judge. People coming to a meeting and that's where they're at. That's fine. But calmly, you could, if you want to. You could. We encourage you, but it's not like if you don't do this, we're going to throw you out. So all I know is I wasn't doing a lot of things right. Nobody threw me out.
I learned the hard way by the try and succeed or fail method. It was the first attempt in learning a lot of times, and so I also agree lived experience instead of book knowledge is the way to go.
Yeah.
You can read all the books you want in the world, but until you've actually walked the same streets and did the same things, it's kind of hard to tell somebody that's doing that what they need to do.
Well, I was out there doing all the self-help books and courses. As long as I was ingesting chemicals into my system, it wasn't working.
How big was boundaries in recovery, and what were some of the hard ones that you had to draw?
Can you define boundaries?
For people or for things, boundaries, what you're going to accept from others and how you expect others to treat you.
It says in recovery or in my disease or both?
Both.
Okay, so if we're talking about in my disease, I think I let my defenses down, so where I was sharing so much and then it got to be used against me, especially with relationships. And that was a big thing. The boundary wasn't set, and so that was a big weapon. If you don't do this, I'm going to tell everybody your secret, and that was a big problem until I wrote "Embracing the Journey of Recovery" in 2007. You know what? This person's no longer going to have any power on me, or those who are holding against me. No power. It's out there. Yes, I did those things. So yeah, I talked too much when I was in my disease or in my disorder. As far as recovery, that is a really difficult one. It's been a process. I knew I had to share, but I wanted to do it where I felt safe, and it was safe in rooms where people who are experiencing the same thing or good friends and family. Was still quite nervous about being found out. So I won't say living in the closet, but I was very
Kind of
cautious.
more in the shadows.
Yeah, very cautious, and that kind of worked against me. But I had seen people out there blurting out, "Yes, I'm in recovery, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing that," and then a year or two later, I see them in the gutter and go, "Oh my gosh," because I thought you had it and you were doing all sorts of good work, and all of a sudden it's not there anymore. So I think it's an individual thing. It depends on your personality as well. Some people are outgoing and they need to be speaking. And all I would say now for the boundaries, for me, even right now, somebody has to earn the right to hear my story. I'm not just going to say it. If I trust you,
No, I'm for me, it's kind of a little bit different, but I'm also in a different situation, you know. For me, it's if I don't share it, then I can't help somebody else. And I know you said your partner's was affected by a suicide. Well, I was too. That's what got me in recovery. Is I found my wife hanging in our closet. That's what decided me to get sober. That day was my last using day. You know, and no reason for me to do it in the world other than I just lost everything I love to addiction and depression and mental health.
Wow.
You know, so that was the only way for me to do it. And for me to go through the grieving process, I had to be honest with myself and everybody else around me, and also to stay motivated to stay sober, honestly. And I found that it's not scary anymore if people know. That was one of the biggest freeing things for me, is it's not scary anymore to have to go through this if people know. And it was really hard to come to that conclusion and that understanding. And I had a long talk with God. I mean, probably a good argument or two, and he's like, well, I got plans for you. And so I had to come to accept it. There's nothing I could do about it. There's nothing I could change. I had to accept it. And that's probably one of the hardest parts of my recovery is accepting that.
Wow. Very powerful. That word acceptance.
Yeah.
I got that handed to me by a mentor within my first year, the fridge magnet. And that comes up with almost every day when things aren't going my way, just because I've done all the work about it. There's no reason that it has to go my way, or if something bad could happen when I've done everything correctly. The way it is, you can lose somebody, as you say, just like that, and it happens to people every day in and out of recovery. So that's a powerful story, Jay, and I'm glad you overcame it and you did what you needed to do.
Yeah, it's been hard, but yet I probably, they always ask you, would you change anything about your past? Would you change anything? Sure, there's things I would love to have changed, but that wouldn't put me in the same position I'm in now. Do you regret your past? Yeah, some. I regret some of the way I treated people and some of the things that, I could have prevented at the time. But do I regret my past? I would have to say no, because that led me to where I'm at right now.
Yeah. I heard last week an older gentleman saying, take a look at the past, but don't stare.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
You know,
fun. That's
we've
powerful.
got all those fun acronyms and sayings, you know, the window's bigger than the rearview mirror,
Yeah.
and they're all there for a reason. You know, all these things are there for a reason, is to keep you going forward instead of dwelling on the past. Because I'm sure you've ran into the same problem. There's enough people that will bring up your past to use it against you.
Oh yeah.
And those are my biggest fans. I love them. Just keep remembering that person and then compare them to the person I am now and see which one's better. So that's all I got to say.
I love it. I love that. I love that attitude.
You
So
know,
you know a new freedom and a new happiness.
yeah, you know, and the happiness came after a lot of grief. You know, I had to get through a lot of things, but I can genuinely say I enjoy where I'm at now. You know, in life and in myself, I can enjoy it. I can learn to live for today. And hey, I really do. Ask anybody that knows me now, and they're like, "Okay, yeah, no plans for the future. He's living for today." You know, uh, I do plan on the future, but I don't dwell on it. You know, we can set ourselves up today for the best possible tomorrow.
Well, I agree with you 100%. And I've got one person. Well, it's not a person. It's the dog Nana. She knows how to live in the moment.
Yeah.
She lives in the now, and she just told me she kept somebody away from there because no one's touching my daddy.
And she came and got reaffirmed.
And she got that, and so I looked up to her in a lot of the ways, as much as she drives me crazy. But she lives in the moment. Dogs live in the moment. They're wonderful, and they're all loved. Like we found her. She was a Mexican rescue. You know, 9 months on the street, 3 months in care, and we got her. We just loved her, but just it's all about, again, the heart to heart connection. She's a dog. We're human, and it's just living in the moment. This is what I live for.
You know, and I like that you have that. You said something about animals. So I worked at a shop at the height of my addiction. I was working at a maintenance shop, and I was their shop manager. And the shop cat had kittens. I took the youngest and the runts of the litter of 8, and it used to follow me around. So I called it Dum Dum. That's my cat, Dum Dum. And you know, without that cat, I don't think I would have survived, honestly, because that cat it means more than people to me sometimes, you know?
Hey, you're giving me happy tears here. I hear you.
That's never a bad thing.
No. Oh my God.
Yeah. But the craziest name, I said, "You're such a dumb." It used to watch me weld on things and just perch on my shoulder and just stay there. And I'm like, "You're such a dum dum," and it answered to it, so the name stuck.
That's so cool. How long have you had her for?
A little over 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've got one here. I've had her since 2014, so I guess it's 11 years now, and she's starting to get senile and a little hard to look after. So again, the best thing in the morning when she's meowing, I pick her up and cradle her while I'm reading emails, and she understands that part too. Mine
sleeps on my back in my bed.
Oh,
it'll
man.
literally, and I'll roll over and it'll just walk on my back until it's flat again. I'm like, "You're such a good cat."
I mean, we all need that. The animals teach us, but looking out in the world is, a little hug here would go a long way without getting sentimental. I'm not like that. In the appropriate places, I do it, and I like it. So yeah,
I think it also comes with a lot of trust. The animals show us what trust is again, because they trust us to keep them fed. They trust us to take care of them, and building that relationship of trust, even with an animal, shows that we can do it again with humans.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, they're a responsibility, but I wouldn't change anything.
No, I wouldn't. I get mad at my cat all the time because it'll interrupt. It'll run across the keyboard or something, and it'll perch up here on my little counter, and it's like, really? But that's it, letting me know that, hey, I'm still here. When you're done, I need something. It's like, okay, whatever. So tell me a little bit about Johnny and Me and what led you, the inspiration behind that, and
Well, that again started during COVID when as I mentioned previously, it was Jack L. High he basically was helping. I was writing short stories, and I had got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stories, and a lot of them were about recovery. And I said, this is kind of cool. And then I remembered the story happened when I was 5 years old. About my dad took me to my first football game together. So I started having all these life events that happened, some good and some absolutely horrible. And I'm getting to the end of my career in 2023. People, what are you going to do when you retire? Are you going to travel? And I'm thinking, well, I will, but I really need something that I can do on a daily basis. And I think I'm going to do writing. So I had put together a number of stories, and that was right about the time when I was going to talk to the support group, and I says, I want to give them just a nice little story here. So that's where I had the story with Johnny and the story with me, and people just really resonated with it. And I talked to my authoring coach, and he said, I says, do you think I could use that for a book? He says, certainly. He says, you've got everything in there. Just figure out how you're going to put it together. And I had no idea how I'm going to combine all these years. And I don't want to talk and go on forever. I don't like reading big books where it's on and on. We all know what it was like when it's out there. I want to hear stories, but I want to hear also the good stuff. So how could I possibly balance all the good stuff with what happened and make it realistic? So it's a feel-good story, but it's not an easy route from path A to path B. So it's, I can do this. And I finally got something together approaching a first draft, and I said, where am I going to get it published? Is this pretty hard to get published? I did in 2007. That's at Morgan James Publishing, but I hadn't really been in contact with them, for a long time. But I says, what? I'm still on the mailing list of David Hancock, who's president, and we had a good rapport. I wished him a happy birthday. I said, by the way, I've got a first draft here. I'm just wondering, would you like to take a look at it? Because I, consider it for publication. I realize you're busy. And he got back to me about a week later. He says, well, I'm tickled you got in front. I says, yeah, I can. Of course, I can take a look. I'd love to. And he got back to me in 2 days. He says, what? I think this is worthy of publication. We just need you to do a little bit of work on it, and I think we can do it for you. And that was the start. And then I really went to town on it and tried to improve it as much as I possibly could. And I'll tell you the funny story too is during the whole publishing process, I was mentioning I had stress about the anonymity of having to take people's names out. And so in order to deal with that stress, I started writing another book to help me with the stress. That's when I thought of 2084. So it was kind of insane. Like I said, why am I doing this? This has caused me so much stress. But I was told, once you get this handled, you're going to be so much further ahead, emotionally and also book-wise. You're able to express your story, express your feelings. So just we'll help you through it. And they did help me through it. Where it's going, I have no idea. But just the whole process, I wouldn't change it. It's like recovery. It's been fun. People are resonating with it, and it's getting me doing stuff like this. I wouldn't be on podcast talking recovery. Now that I've been on, I want to do more because I meet such interesting people like yourself, and it blows me away that there's so many of us out there. So I'm doing that through podcasts. I'm doing it through writing, and I've got a message. You've got a message. I think that's where we got to keep this going here, Jay. Because
we definitely turn our message into messages. That is for sure.
Yeah. So I think we may say it a little differently or a lot different, but I think our core values here are we're bang on. And everybody I've done one of the podcasts with is connecting. It's the same thing as when I go to support meetings, see people I probably ordinarily wouldn't see, but man, I can connect with them. It's just, and that's why I keep going back. And I've asked by some other people, why do you keep going? You've been straight for a long time. Because I like going, man. I walk away feeling way better than I did beforehand. That's
and they say the opposite of addiction, is connection. And I 100% believe that because, we hide as we're addicts. We hide. We like to not really be around people for the right reasons, or we're going through we could be the most lonely person in a crowded room, because we're dealing with these issues, we're dealing with our addiction. Yet once we start opening up, once we start thinking clear-headed again, it's amazing the amount of connection you
Oh,
can actually have with somebody, and genuine connection, not the fake addicted connection, but genuine connection that you can have with somebody now.
yeah. And this is how I got in a relationship with Lori. Just on our second or third date, and I told her about my running, and she's just the opposite of me. She is so outgoing, talks to everybody off the street. But she asked me, uh, if you're a runner, what are you running from? And I said, this is the turning point in my whole life. Do I trust this person with it's not secret, but do I tell her? I says, well, I'm running from alcohol and drugs. And she already knew. It's a small town, but it was that risk that got me to open up. And as I opened up, and I realized she had a lot of pain going through her as well. She experienced what you did, the loss of a loved one through suicide. And so we are both wounded. I was wounded, she was wounded, but we were able to connect in that way. And I'd go to my support meetings, and then I would call her or email her and go, hear what's happened. We would connect, and that just kept me going. And it was my heart is pounding thinking about it here. That was so important to me. And I know it's hard. And sometimes we had difficulties because she's a single mother with four small kids, and that was another thing. But somehow we managed to fumble our way through. But it was by being authentic and being real. And it would have been quite easy to run away, and no one would have thought anything of it. Maybe it's not the right situation. So, and neither of us regrets it. Although we thought, why did we do this so early in our, coming out of the dark spot?
So what's crazy is, that when we start connecting, it opens up all these other possibilities. Because let's be real, in recovery, we don't think, that at the beginning of it, we don't think it's hard. It really is hard. We can't see necessarily the light at the end of the tunnel. It's just, we know we got to do this. Why? I don't know. Because I wanted to, because other people told me, no, you got to do it for yourself. But we don't, a lot of times we don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and we're always comparing our lowlights to somebody else's highlights.
Oh God. Yeah.
And that's what I try to get away from. I don't want to compare myself to anybody else, because everybody's walk is different. And I know that a lot of times you don't see the lows of other people, so a lot of times in recovery, people get stuck comparing each other. Oh, look how well this person over here is doing while I'm over here doing this. And you'll get stuck, and that'll drag you back down. And I'm trying not to do that to others. So that's another reason why I'm just like I am. I don't, the recovery has gotten me a lot of things. Out of my shit is one of them. That's the biggest one.
I agree with you on that one. The comparison, I did that in recovery, and then also being a marathon runner and triathlete is the time. Well, someone just passed me, and they're 20 years older than me, or they're heavier than me. Well, why is it? And finally, I just let it go. I'm doing the best I can, and I'll encourage them as they're going by. And I learned that from there was an 80-year-old nun who had done Ironman, and she's just revered by all of us. We just love her to pieces, Sister Madonna Buder. And I remember in one race going past her on the bike, because I'm not a good swimmer, and she got ahead of me. I passed her on the bike. He says, "Hello, sister," and I'm passing her. She says, "God bless you, dear." I'm going, that's the type of person. Because we're all in the same boat together, whether you're finishing it in 8 hours or whether you're finishing it in 16 or 17 hours.
That's
we all support one another. And that's the same thing as with recovery. Whether you have 1 day or half a day or 10 years or 20, it doesn't matter. And I thought in early recovery, look at these people with all these years, and they have it all together, and they don't go through any pain or suffering, do they? No, I don't know why I was so naive. So I found it from a mentor of mine. The stuff she was going through, I looked up to her, but she had way more going on than I did, and she was managing to keep sober. And she just passed on recently. And I talked to her family and says, that woman, she was such a good friend, such a good mentor, and I had no idea what was going on with her till she told me. I just want to say how much she helped me and she helped others, and thank you for supporting her, because without people like that, I wouldn't be talking. And her answer would be, if she could, was, I'm just repeating what was told to me. I'm not special. We're not special. We're just passing. We're the conduits. And I did that in my chiropractic career. I got some healing energy. I am the conduit. He says, I think you can get better. I've got a little bit of skill. Let's try this. And to me, that's how healings happens. Hands-on, heart-to-heart. And I'm glad I chose the career I did, because there was a lot of heart-to-heart connection. People knew that I cared. I really did. And you can't help everybody, but you sure as hell try.
Last question. What's the one thing you want somebody to take away, whether they're new in recovery or thinking about getting into recovery? What's one message you'd like everybody to take away from this podcast today?
My number one is there is hope. There is always, no matter how far you've gone down, there are people who have been down worse than you have, and they've managed to pull themselves up. And all you have to do is get through today. You don't have to worry about tomorrow. And if it's really that bad and you can't stand it, you pick up the phone, you talk to somebody, and you let them know how they're feeling. They will help you. I think if you get that connection, somebody cares, because that's when my lowest point, when I wanted to die, I had young Jonathan there, and I said, man, I just want to die. I said, come on, you got to hold on for today. So that's what I'm asking you guys. If you're struggling, hold on for today. There is hope, because, man, we all been there. You've been there, Jay. I've been there. Thousands, millions. A lot have got through it. Unfortunately, not everybody does get through it, is the cold reality, but we are rooting for you. And as I say, we are here to help and support and encourage.
And where can people find your book, the name and title of your books, and where can they find them?
It's the two recent books are Johnny and Me, and that can be found on Amazon, and also at drlarrysmithauthor.com. And the new one, 2084, The Neuroxon Conspiracy, should be populating on Amazon for pre-order. So yeah, if you want to get a hold of me, drlarrysmithauthor.com.
Awesome, Dr. Larry. Thank you for coming on the podcast. I think it was great. I really do appreciate you giving me a second chance, because I had the technical difficulties. So I appreciate that tremendously, and I appreciate taking the time out of your day to come on here.
Oh, it's no problem. In fact, it worked out better. I love going for a run, and actually, I was in such a good mood as that. This is going to be no problem. So, thanks for having me on. I appreciate you, Jay.
Thank you, and we're out of here. That's Rock and Recovery for this today. Tune in tomorrow or the next day, one of those days, and you recover out loud.